The economy is sputtering, but guess what? That hasn't stopped Americans from flashing their plastic. Despite the recession, Americans have continued to borrow to buy cars, homes, and other big-ticket items. Consumer debt had risen to a record $7.5 trillion by the third quarter of 2001. So are you suffering a post-holiday credit card hangover? Are you dreading to open your January statements? We've got help for you in the form of credit card guru Scott Bilker. As we go to break, has holiday shopping left you burdened with credit card debt? Give us a call. We'll be right back.
You're watching Real Life, awarded for broadcasting excellence with the prestigious 2001 Emmy Award. CN8, now more than ever. Tune in, find out.
Credit card usage this holiday season, that's from November 23rd to December 24th, totaled over $122 billion. That is a lot of money on plastic. The recession apparently hasn't really changed our spending habits. With us in the studio, debt management expert Scott Bilker of www.debtsmart.com, author of the book, Credit Card and Debt Management. That's a lot of bucks, even though they were saying that the holiday season was not really all gung-ho in terms of retailers.
Yeah, it's more than historically. It's gone up every single year to like a tenth of that 10 years prior. So people are definitely spending a lot more on their credit cards, and you know, everyone's was used to spending a lot prior to us having this recession, so it's kind of carried through. And people are getting their statements. I'm getting mine too. And you open them and you say, oh, gee, did I really spend that much? So what do you do about that, especially if it's beyond your means? Even there are people for whom the minimum, right, monthly payment is beyond their means. Well, luckily, you know, throughout the whole year, you always have a chance to save money by making the banks really fight for your business. But now, again, we're still in this post-holiday season. All the banks know that we have balances on our cards. So, again, we have some leverage as consumers. And we should always make these banks fight to get our business.
So, now, one of the things that you have long advocated is that you really hold on to those credit card offerings that come in the mail. And they're still coming in the mail. Yeah, I can't believe how many we're still getting.
I know. In fact, I'm doing a survey on my website, debtsmart.com, right now about how many people are getting offers right now. I got one of the best ones just yesterday.
Yeah. Tell me what?
13 months, 0%.
Wow.
It was until February 2003, 0%. I'll be using that tomorrow when I write some checks.
And that's not just on transfers. That's everything new?
Well, it may be on purchases, but it's definitely on transfers, and there's a one-time fee that's at a maximum of $50.
Wow.
See, it's something else you have to be careful of, transfer fees. But in this case, a year at zero, even if it's $50 on a $10,000 balance, the actual APR is only going to be about 0.46% for a whole year. So I can't pass that one up.
And that comes with a maximum. Is there a low maximum on that? I mean, how do people make money on that?
Well, they're hoping that after the year, I'm just going to forget about it.
And that you'll just stick with it, and then we'll go back to
exactly.
it. Okay. But as we're laying out our credit card bills from the holidays, I mean, what sort of process should we go through?
Okay, well, first of all, you should identify and organize the credit card statements by interest rate. You want to focus on the high rates, especially the department store cards.
Yeah, those are higher than the Visas and the MasterCards?
The department stores are typically around in the 20s. And you got to be careful on all the credit cards that you don't miss payments, because, again, you know, we know that's the biggest sin when it comes to credit card use, is being late or missing a payment. But when you miss a payment nowadays, the rate can go up another 5%.
As a penalty.
Yes.
And you're stuck with a much higher rate.
Exactly. That's why it's kind of important to always have credit options. You need to have other banks, other credit cards to get better deals, to make the one bank that's giving you this high rate reduce the rates.
Okay, but so the first thing is to sort of parcel out your bills by the level of the interest rate. I want to go to the phones. We're going to come back. We're going through this process for you in this half hour. But I want to go to Annie first. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. What's your situation?
I have a lot of debts, and I would like to know how can I get rid of my debts.
And are they mostly credit cards?
Yes, they are most credit cards.
And how much? Do you know what the total is?
The total are like almost 10,000.
Okay, a lot of money.
Okay, Annie, first of all, do you know what the rate is on all those credit card debts?
They are very high.
How high? Over 20%?
Over 20, yes.
Okay, well, first of all, can you make the minimum payments or no?
Yes, but there is a point that I am running out of money.
Okay, well, you have to get those rates down.
Okay.
Contact the banks, and first of all, just call them up and say, look, 20% is ridiculous. You got to lower my rate. I've got other credit card options. If you don't reduce my rate, I'm just going to transfer my balance someplace else.
How can I find a credit card that has a lower rate?
Actually, I have a whole bunch listed on my website at www.debtsmart.com. I've got an article there on how to get the lower rates right now, and I have a list. Also, you can look in your local newspaper. The Sunday Business Edition usually lists a whole bunch of banks by their rates for credit cards.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Annie.
Okay, well, that's a lot of money.
Yes, it is, and that's a high rate. You know, it's the rates that really the thing that hurts. The debt so much isn't so bad, but it's the cost of that debt that really gets you.
When you're in a situation like that, though, I guess, is she considered a less desirable risk for credit card companies, or is there somebody out there who'll say, yeah, I'll give you a rate of whatever on your transfer, 6%, 4%?
There's always someone, and you should always try. Well, we don't know the rest of her history, like has she been late in the past? You don't know. Some people have great credit histories and good, they've been good about handling their debt, but yet they don't pay attention and they end up paying high rates.
Now, I have also seen in the last couple of weeks advertisements for these credit counseling agencies. They're very appealing looking. I know you don't like those. What should you do? You know, they say, oh, you're having problems paying your debts, your credit card debts. We can help.
Well, you know, the credit counselors, they can be helpful in some situations, but I consider them voluntary collection agencies in a way, because they are paid by the very banks that they're collecting the money from, or they're getting you to pay. That doesn't necessarily mean it's such a bad thing. However, you can do what they do, and they may argue and say you can't, but you can call your bank and you can negotiate better deals.
You can do that on your own.
You can, but if you just can't, if you've tried everything on your own, if you've tried every option available, then it may be okay, a good thing to look at. You should always check out your options, but keep in mind that when you do use a debt counseling agency, they can report that on your credit report.
So that shows up as a sort of another question about your credit worthiness.
Exactly. In fact, one of the readers of my email magazine sent me an email, and we posted this online, about her experience with a debt counseling agency. She was using them, and she was paying everything off, and everything was great. But see, she went to get a mortgage, and when the bank looked at her history and saw she was working with a debt counseling agency, they turned her down and said, until that's resolved, we're not going to give you the mortgage.
Okay, I want to go back to the point that you were making about department store credit cards and how they are such high rates, and something to really focus in on. Now, my husband went to the Gap to buy some clothes for my 15-year-old son, and they said, oh, you really should take advantage of our Gap credit card offer because you get money off on this particular sale. So he said, oh, you know, I have to do this. He did. He got a Gap credit card, and it came in the mail. I paid the bill. It was only like $250. But is that something to avoid? Is that a problem for me now that I have a Gap credit card?
Oh, no, not at all. Actually, that was a very smart move. You used the Gap credit card, you got the discounts, and then you paid it off in full, and that's great. So you avoided all the interest because of the grace period on the credit card. Now, the problem would be is if you couldn't pay it off in full. And the key here is to pay it off in full, or else the interest charges are going to start to eat away at that discount you just got.
Right.
So what you'll do is, if you can't pay it off in full, that's the time you contact your major credit cards, your Visas, and say, here's the story. I've got this holiday debt.
Right.
This is one of my smart post-holiday tips. You call the bank and say, I've got this post-holiday debt with a couple department stores. Here's your chance to make some money. You give me a good rate right now, I'll transfer my balance from them to you. Otherwise, I've got 10 other banks to call. Average card holder has 12 cards. I'll just call a different bank. Someone will give me the good deal. This is your chance to earn some money or get nothing.
So in a sense, you're paying your own. You're playing your own shell game. You're moving your debt from the higher interest rates, if you can, to lower interest rate cards.
Yes, although I don't know. I don't.
You wouldn't call it a shell game.
Yes,
but it's a maneuver.
It's
anyway.
being debt smart.
Debt smart.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go to break. Our question to you is your credit card debt overwhelming? Give us a call. We'll try to help. Coming up on Real Life on Monday, Scott Bilker will once again be with us to discuss how to avoid credit card traps. Sometimes an offer that seems too good to be true might be too good to be true. We'll also talk about whether it's time to refinance. Did you know you could refinance a car loan? I didn't know that. On Tuesday, breaking autism's barriers, we will meet a dad who, along with his entire family, is working to communicate with his son and break the barrier of autism. Tune in for this very touching story. Okay, we are here talking about those post-holiday credit card blues and how to manage the debt that you've racked up over the last month. With us, debt management expert Scott Bilker of DebtSmart.com. He's also publisher of DebtSmart magazine, and I want to let everybody out there know who's calling in. Just ask for it. We've got a couple of copies of Scott's book, Credit Card and Debt Management, and his software, which is very useful. So ask for it, and we'll give what we've got. Okay, we've got Diane on the line with us. Hi, Diane. Now, you got laid off from your job, yes?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so tell your credit situation is not so good.
No, I have about $15,000 in debt. I have 2 credit cards. I was paying them, very well all the time. I mean, I had missed maybe a couple of payments, but I paid them. I was just late. I had 2 different credit cards, but Fleet bought both of them out. So now I owe Fleet both credit cards amounts. And I'm trying to pay them. I pay one card. I made arrangements to pay. The other card, I just cannot afford to pay. I went from making $45,000 to making $20,000.
Did you call the banks, both of them, and talk to them about your options?
Yes, I did, and I'm working with the one, like I said, but the other one, every time I call them, I tell them I can't afford to pay anything. I asked them, could I at least just pay $50? I'm just trying to do something, and they said that we would take the $50, but we still will be calling you every day or every other day. And that's what's annoying me the most is the fact that I want to pay, but I can't, and I don't know what to do.
Well, there's a few options you have. You could, and well, now you were saying you were having some difficulty with your credit in general. So you've been late. Do you know what your credit report looks like? Have you gotten a copy of that recently, Diane?
Yes, I did. I'm at 5 point something. I don't know how that worked, but anyway, the guy said that I was still at good standing, but I could be better.
Okay, great. Well, what you can do is try to apply for another credit card or a personal loan, and you can pay off some of that higher rate debt with this newer loan. Maybe you can get a better deal there. Also, do you own your house, Diane?
No, I don't.
Okay. How about, do you have any car loans?
No, my car is completely paid off.
Okay, well, you'll definitely want to listen in on the next show where we're going to talk about refinancing and how you might be able to use your car to help you do this.
Which is on Monday.
Yes.
Coming up Monday. Go ahead.
But for now, you should look into getting newer credit cards and see if they're going to give you a better interest rate deal. What's your rates on the one that won't work with you?
It's over 20 something. I think it's like 22, 23.
And the bank that is working with you, what are their rates?
It's the same.
Oh,
Yeah, they're both cards from Fleet because Fleet took over a lot of other. But I don't understand if they'll work with you on one, why not the other?
Because I told them I can't afford to pay them the $133 like they want.
Which is the monthly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, would you say you're close to or considering a bankruptcy because it's that difficult at this point? Okay, well, you know what? Talk to a bankruptcy attorney and see what your options are there. You say you don't own a home, so the equity in a house won't be an option or won't be part of this. But when you do talk to an attorney, you can call them back and say, here's the story, Fleet. Either you're going to get paid something and you're going to work with me, or I'll just have to claim bankruptcy and you'll get nothing. So you can make a decision now whether you want to work with me. But since you're not going to be bluffing, it's going to be even stronger than that. So definitely speak with a bankruptcy attorney if that's something you are considering, because it's going to give you more leverage ultimately. I know you want to pay, and that's great. But, if you really have to put it on the line and tell them, that they're going to work with you or you're just going to claim bankruptcy, you should do that and make them work with you. Okay, we wish you the best of luck, Diane. We're going to go next to Marcia. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you
Fine.
for taking my call. My situation is this. I have had a credit card with American Express for about 10 years and have paid them religiously, obviously, every month. Recently, however, we were late on 2 payments, and they turned our card over to a collection agency without having contacted us either by writing or by phone. And I didn't understand why they would do that. And when we tried to contact them after receiving notification from the collection agency, they wouldn't take our calls. So eventually what we had to do was cash out some other things and just pay off the entire credit card. But what I wanted to find out is if that's a normal occurrence without, you know, contacting anyone.
I've never really heard of something like that. Usually, and what happened to a friend of mine once was he moved and he didn't notify one of his creditors, and all his accounts were in good standing, and they were just sending the bill to the old address, and he never paid it, and he forgot about it because from moving and, you know, mortgage and stuff, it slipped his mind. So eventually when they got a hold of him, they offered for him to just pay it off at a reduced rate, the entire balance, and to wipe out the debt. So I think that was a proper way to handle it. For American Express to turn around after you've been late, you said 2 times or 2 months?
No, just twice.
Twice.
Yeah,
But I don't think that's a reason for them to send it to a collection agency. I'm very surprised. When you called American Express, they wouldn't even talk to you?
No, they just said they were not handling the account any longer, and they gave us the same number that I had from the collection agency.
Did you ask to speak to the supervisor, or you just spoke with the very first person you called?
I couldn't get through to anyone. That was the key. You know, then now everything is automated. So you put your numbers in, you ask to speak to an individual, you ask to speak to the supervisor, and I received the same response each time, was that they were no longer handling the account. So I could never speak to anyone at American Express.
You know what, I think I'm going to look into that. You know what, send me an email at my website, debtsmart.com. It's scott@debtsmart.com, just to remind me about this, because I want to look into that. And just, that doesn't seem quite right.
Seems
I like
very
to,
unusual.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, best of luck, Marcia. We're going to go next to Nancy. Hi.
Hi.
Yes.
I have like a question. Every time I was going in the stores on the holidays, everyone wanted to offer me a credit card so I would get a discount. And I was told by someone who I was shopping with that I shouldn't do that because every time you apply for a credit card, that is almost like having a derogatory on your credit rating. And I'm thinking about buying a house, so I want to know if applying for credit cards is going to somehow hurt my credit worthiness.
Well, it depends on who's looking at your credit worthiness. If you're applying for a mortgage, yes, there are certainly some banks that are going to look at you applying for a whole bunch of credit cards as being a negative. However, they want to make a profit, so they're going to look through that. It's the holiday season. If they see you apply for JCPenney, Macy's, and all these department store cards, they're probably going to understand. But, you know, each bank, each mortgage company is going to have different parameters as far as choosing you for a mortgage. When I got my mortgage, I had 24 credit cards, and half of them had balances, and I still got a mortgage, even though everyone told me you'll never get a mortgage. I still got a mortgage first time. So sometimes yes, sometimes no. I wouldn't worry about it. Apply, take advantage of the discount, and if it comes up, you can explain it to the mortgage banker. Tell them, look, okay, you missed my business. I'll go somewhere else and get a mortgage.
Okay. We are going to go to break. We will be back to take more of your calls, so hang on the lines. We'll be right back. Next time on Real Life, credit card traps and refinancing. Scott Bilker will be with us once again with practical advice on getting your finances in order and getting your money's worth. We will be back to wrap up on our topic today, pay down your debt. For those of you who are on hold, if you don't get on the air of this show, just keep holding on the line and you can be on our next show. Okay, Scott, we're going to take next Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Rachel? Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. We have had for a couple of years offers for like 1.7% and 0% interest, which we have taken advantage of, and we've saved a lot of money over time.
That's very smart, Rachel.
Yeah, well, we're thrilled with it. What I wondered is, does it have any effect to have a lot of open lines of credit like that, even though we only ever really have one balance that we're carrying?
Well, you know, some people are going to say it's going to have a negative effect. Just like the last caller who was asking about applying for credit. Here's the same thing. You're getting new credit. Is it going to hurt you? It depends. I've got about, between my wife and I, like 80 cards, okay? Now, I don't use them all.
He's a maniac, but yes.
I don't use them all. We'd be doing a show on bankruptcy today because I couldn't pay them back. But, you know, I've been doing this kind of stuff for over a decade, and the only thing that's happened is I get better offers year after year, time after time. My credit score is great. I never get turned down for any loans. So what you're doing is smart. And what it's going to do is tell the banks that they're going to have to give you good deals to get your business, or you're not going to be loyal to them. So I think you're doing a good job, Rachel.
Okay, Rachel, good job. We're going to Angie. Hi.
Yeah, hi. I just have a question. I have about $15,000 of credit card debt,
and I just paid 2 credit cards off, and what I'm doing is I'm sending a big bulk to 1 credit card every month, and the other 2, I'm just sending the minimum. And I was just wondering if that process was good to do.
Okay, well, you know, again, let's look at the rates. The one that you're sending the big money to, is that the higher rate card?
5%.
How much?
25%.
Ooh, that's really high. And how about the lower, the other card? What's the rate on that one?
Well, there's 2, and they're like 17, 18.
Okay, well, the 17 or 18 ones are still better than the 25. Do you have available credit there?
Yes, lots.
Oh, great. Call them and say this. Look, I owe money at a higher rate. If you give me a good deal, I'll transfer my balance to you right now.
Okay.
But yes, sending the bulk of the money right now to the 25% card is definitely smart.
And that really is one of your tips for post-holiday, which is parcel out who are the high credits and who are the low interest rates, and make sure you pay and pay off those high interest rates, or move those high interest rate debts to lower rates. Okay, we're going to go next to Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
I had a comment about your American Express situation. I think it was Marsha that was talking about.
Yeah.
I had a similar situation. When I received my card, I used it once. And on my first statement, I noticed a very high annual fee, and I called and canceled the card and paid off the balance. And immediately after that, my, the card went delinquent because I hadn't paid the balance of the annual fee. And by the time I realized it, I had gone to collection, and they refused to speak to me. No matter how many supervisors I talked to, they said they did not handle it anymore, and it had been referred to an outside agency. And it took me 6 months to get a $55 fee off of my credit.
That is really interesting and kind of unusual.
Yes.
I would say that, well, first of all, they owed you the $55, right?
And eventually they did credit it back, but like I said, it took 6 months. It held up a mortgage for me.
Well, did they correct the problem in your credit history? Did you make sure? Okay, so they rewrote it. All right. Well, you know, these things happen.
She had to be her own consumer advocate.
Yes.
I guess on the phone a lot, right?
When I heard Marsha's story, I just couldn't believe it because they must do it regularly.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I'm definitely going to look into that, and I'll write an article about that one. That's something that needs some investigation.
And that's probably something, Kim, you should also email to www.debtsmart.com and let Scott know about this. On our next show, we are going to be talking about 2 very important things, and our next show will be on Monday, and that is credit card traps. That's coming up. And also, we're going to be talking about whether it is a wise decision to refinance, because mortgage interest rates are like at 6.5%. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's right.
And most of these, the auto deals, I think, are pretty much shutting down now. These 0% financing are pretty much at the close of their, but still, this may be the time to refinance. So for those of you who are still hanging on the line and you are interested in talking about the issue of refinancing or credit card traps, stick with us, because we'll have you on the Monday show. And for everybody else, make sure you separate out the cards, the high interest rates, the low interest rates, and try to get a better deal. You've got to be debt smart. Okay, Scott, stick with us. We'll see you Monday.